Hi Phil, Happy New Year.
How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Thanks a lot for jumping on with me here. I thought it'd be really great for us just to give everybody an update, thinking about what's ahead for the year ahead, 2021, and also what's brought us to this point so far, what's been happening for Exducis code, all of our best laid plans and all of that. And thinking about resetting and replanning for the year ahead and all the exciting things we've got coming up. So I was reflecting that, last year we definitely had to flex a lot. We had to cancel a couple of our events, which we were really looking forward to. But off the back of that, it allowed us to see some new opportunities, didn't it, around getting people into online groups, running our mastermind groups, which was a great way of meeting lots of new people, many of whom will be watching this now, who came along to those sessions. So thinking about going forward, Phil, we know we want to be planning for like early summer, late spring for our in-person retreat. Thinking back to what we've learned over the last year about what our clients need, what leaders, executive leaders are looking for, what are your thoughts about what we really need to weave in to our future offers?
I think there's a few developments that have happened. I think a lot of execs are definitely still feeling that, that high level of stress and leaning into burnout for sure. And I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. And it's been around for years. This was pre-COVID. We know that. And obviously COVID has just emphasized that even more. But what I'm seeing a lot with my certain clients that I'm coaching at the minute is this term keeps popping up of, transition and change. And more often than not, when you're chatting to them, they're on about the transition and the change of the organization. But the conversations now are more about them as individuals. Where are my opportunities? I think what COVID has done is sort of realigned a lot of our priorities in terms of whether it's, family, home, career. If I was with an organization that maybe wasn't the right fit for me, this has been the catalyst for change. And a lot of the conversations are around, utilizing this sort of coming out of COVID, with all fingers crossed to within a couple of months to maybe trigger in that transition. And I think that transition could be getting clarity on who I am and where I want to go and where my strengths are and what type of organization I want to work for. And I'm becoming all round sort of a bit more empowered in making those decisions for myself. That's what I'm seeing with my clients. What about yourself?
Yeah, I would definitely echo that. I mean, in terms of the executive coaching work that we're both doing, the themes are the same, you're right, but it's adding these new challenges in. And I guess when we reflect as well about who's been into our retreats online, we're hearing a lot, aren't we, about I'm at a crossroads, I don't know what's next for me. I think 2020 has really stirred a lot of people to reflect, as you say, and think, am I in the right place? Is this job, is this career aligned with my values, what's important to me? Working from home, so many people have realised they haven't been spending time with their families. That's had a positive effect in some ways because people have been able to reset their work-life balance, thinking about what they're not going to let go of going forward, what to retain. So yeah, I think as you say, that transition word keeps coming up a lot. Am I staying where I am? How can I maximize that and make it even better? How can I get more from my team? How can I actually be a more conscious leader when I'm dealing with other people who are in a transition and who are also wondering about, are they in the right place? Are they in the right role? So there's definitely a theme there. And of course, we've woven that in already into the Exducis code because it's human nature to flex and change, isn't it? To be looking up and thinking, what next? That's what we're all made of anyway, especially when we're in quite senior roles. So that's very much part and parcel of the code. And yet I think the emphasis on this new year, the end of COVID, I say the end of COVID, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. What's that going to look like? So thinking about the offers that we've already got within Exducis in the code itself, because we're talking about that raised consciousness about myself, about my team, about my business, about my work. What do you see us doing more of over the next year? that'll complement that shift in thinking.
Well, I think, whether it's our online sort of masterclasses or our face-to-face retreats, I think we're going to be looking at some of the themes around impact. I think people want to have a different style of impact now, where maybe before they were on the corporate ladder within one organization and wanting to step up that ladder. I think maybe they're looking outside of that now, that there may be some newer organizations that provide really good opportunities for them. So we can really help them, with that impact of self and of the team, if they're going to make that transition, as we talked about, or even if they decide to stay put within their organization and maybe see it with a fresh lens. Impact is something that these high-end executives that have been on our retreats and on our webinars they very rarely talk about themselves. It's all about the impact they make. And I think that once they're in a better place themselves, they have good levels of clarity of who they are, then the impact will naturally take place. I just think that, you just look at the news, over the last 6 or 12 months, house prices in the Midlands and the amount of house sales are going through the roof, because people are realizing that, if we're going to work from home, I want a bit more space. I need an office, or maybe a garden room. And if we can't afford it in London, then let's move outside, or let's move closer to family, and if I need to, I'll commute into the office 2 or 3 days a week. So the word there is flexibility, because I think people that maybe were, traveling in and out of the city Monday to Friday, were at an organization, or even themselves didn't believe that home working could work. COVID's forced the issue. So again, that change and transition to remote working, to being able to check in with my executive and build trust to ensure that impact doesn't change. I think there's a lot of themes there that tie in really well with the code and, the likes of conscious leadership, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it, that we already, in some ways, we foresaw that these challenges would be there because they're there anyway. But the content of the code and how it builds and how it empowers leaders to not just think about their impact and what it's like being on the receiving end of them from their team's perspective, but also getting them to raise and not just their self-awareness, but their level of consciousness around impact. My impact on myself, on my family, on my team, on my business, on the organisation. So that's definitely going to be a key focus for us for our retreats and online events.
I don't know if you noticed it, Jane, but when we were running the masterclasses, obviously all through COVID and back end of last year, I definitely got a sense of, because people are getting tired and burnt out, they haven't really sort of committed any time and attention to themselves, So, when we talk about our concepts of what we utilize, that element of self-regard, I think people's transition has been that they've had a high level of self-regard, and that self-regard's come from confidence from maybe their position within an organization or their level of authority or impact. But I think that's been taken away over the last 6 or 12 months. So they've been able to focus on, the teams and maybe just surviving and firefighting, the terms we hear nearly every day. I think there's going to be an element of people wanting to reinvest in themselves to build their level of self-regard, to be in a better place, to be able to positively influence other people. I don't know if you saw that as a theme and a trend too.
Definitely. I think, if there was a phrase that we've heard quite a lot over the last year in all sorts of different contexts, is life's too short. We've all heard or, been impacted by the severity of this pandemic, and unfortunately a lot of people's lives have changed completely as a result, whether it's through redundancy, loss of a loved one, a friend, whatever it might be. And so, this concept of we've got one go at this. Why are we wasting time? Why aren't we just stepping in to that next phase, that thing that's going to make us happy, that's going to give us energy, where we can use our strengths, where we really are thriving and being the best version of ourselves? And I think one of the biggest appetites for that going into a new year, a lot of people are making New Year's resolutions, and I know you as well as I do, Phil, when we're coaching with clients, we're always about long-lasting behaviour change, rather than just wishing for something and hoping for the best. That's why, I don't know what the stats are, something like, what is it, 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by the end of January, something like that. We want sustained behaviour change. We want techniques and strategies that are actually going to help us to push through, be the best we can be. And I was talking to somebody yesterday about we get a goal, and we know what that goal is, and then we start making plans about all the points in between to get there. We had a really interesting conversation about, what if we just went straight to the end? What would that look like? And why can't we just do some of that? There's so much focus on goal attainment rather than just the process of just doing it. And I think part of our our setup in the Exducis code certainly is very much about setting goals for ourselves that are obtainable, that we work on every day, that we get energy from every day because of the process, not the result. So I think there'll be a lot more of that going on. And I'm really excited about that, because it empowers people to step really quickly into their goals, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And then because of the process, people are engaged in what they're doing. So that gains the buy-in, the confidence, the momentum, and everything else we talk about in terms of that behavior change. And I think as well, there's an element of people tend to put things off, oh, well, I'll do it next year. I'll start that course next year. Or yeah, I've always wanted to do that. I think COVID's really shook people up of going, well, what was I waiting for? Why didn't I go on that holiday? Why didn't I go and see my family? Why didn't I buy that thing? Because one thing's for sure, and I've definitely seen it, is that some of the things that we took for granted, even going out for a meal, who would have thought that? Going out for a meal with your family and friends and, having a glass of wine. How nice would that be right now? And I think there's going to be a big shift and a big change, and people are just going to go, do you know what? I'm not waiting anymore. I'm going to put myself first. And they're going to be looking for opportunities. And if people are listening to this video and the things we're talking about resonates with them, I'd definitely encourage them to get in touch, find out a little bit more, maybe come on our list of registrants for those that get notified once we firm up the dates, because the places are not going to last long, because nobody's waiting anymore. Everybody's just going to go as soon as the things lift. You can imagine, can't you? The floodgates are going to open, not just for us, but holidays are going to go through. Everybody's looking for a bit of sun, desperation. Everyone wants to get out. They want to change the scenery, and hopefully sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. And that Italian sunshine is calling us. The thing about the Exducis retreat, it's all of the things we're talking about, but it's also that time out. It's that self-care, isn't it? And that time to get some clarity about next steps. So yeah, anybody listening to this who is thinking, I could do with some time out, I could do with some clarity, I could do with something to look forward to. That's not just it's something that it's got some grit about it, because it's going to help me in my career. It's not just a holiday, because it's far from a holiday, but it's a break. It's meant to be relaxing whilst it's challenging, while it's getting people learning new things out of their comfort zone. So yes, watch this space. So late spring, early summer, we'll be announcing probably within the next in the next month or so. We're going to be really looking at what's going on the landscape, but we'll be keeping you all informed. This is where you're going to get the information as well. Keep track of this page, keep coming back and visiting us, and of course, let us know if you need anything. Book a call with us if you want to talk it through, and we'll really look forward to seeing you all in 2021 for an Exducis retreat. So yeah, thanks a lot for listening, everybody.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye.
Bye.